Good morning everybody. So Active Mum is turning 10 this month and I thought it'd be a really great time to tell the Active Mum story over the last 10 years. So what I'll do is each day I'll put out a little video giving snippets of the Active Mum story and how it's grown, or how the idea came about, how it's grown over the last 10 years, and the highs and the lows of building a business and growing a business. Now, in telling the Active Mum story, I actually won't be able to tell it without my personal life being intertwined into that, because I guess as being Active Mum, what's happening at home can affect in a massive way what's going on in business, and vice versa. So you're going to get a really real and raw count of what's happened behind the scenes over the last 10 years. It's been an amazing 10 years to start with this little idea of starting the Active Mum business to seeing it now. You know, we've helped over 10,000 mums over the last 10 years, which is really quite phenomenal. I can't really believe that this is what's happened from this idea that I had. So basically how Active Mum started is at uni I did accounting. So I did accounting, came out of uni, worked in one of the big 6 accounting firms, and actually realised quite early on that I wasn't made to be an accountant. And so I went back to uni and did exercise science. But along the way around the time that the Active Mum idea came about, I was pregnant with my first child, Bailey. And I was doing some part-time accounting and also teaching in all of the big gyms, teaching group fitness classes. So there I was, this quite heavily pregnant woman teaching classes, and you know, in those classes there were some pregnant women, and there were a lot of women really. And in doing those classes and doing this exercise that I thought would be safe while I was pregnant, I actually sustained some quite significant damage to my body, abdominal separation, pelvic floor weakness, some really horrific pelvic pain. And I didn't actually know in my training as a fitness trainer, you know, and I had been to uni, I had done a lot of courses, more than a standard fitness trainer had done, and still to this day does, but I didn't know that these things weren't actually good for my body. So anyway, I'm teaching these classes, I sustain these injuries, and I start going to physio to help. And then in doing and seeing these women's health physios, I started to learn that the exercise that I was doing there in those big fitness facilities weren't actually designed specifically for my body while I was pregnant, and particularly also post-birth. So I started to look for a program that had a cardio element as well as a strength training element that was specifically designed for pregnancy, that would help actually build my body in the right way. And there wasn't anything available. So I thought, well, there's a gap in the market, and women really need this. Women really need to know that that they need to build their body specifically to train them for that journey of pregnancy, for childbirth, and then in life as a new mum. So that's where I thought, right, well, now that I've got this knowledge, I can't just let it rest. I need to go and create something. So I first of all started by creating a pregnancy program whereby the pregnant women could come and they would be able to do a cardio strength-based program that was specifically going to build their body for that pregnancy process, to help them, you know, as the pregnancy progressed, as the posture changed. And so I started out and I made a little website, and I was not very tech savvy, and at the time 10 years ago there weren't these, you know, cut and paste websites that you could just do easily. I had to learn the back end of how to build a website, and I made some flyers and I started to take them around to the obstetricians. And I started the first pregnancy class teaching it to 2 ladies in a little community centre. So we didn't have a studio then, I just ran them in a community centre, and when they came I would give them a fit ball, and every time they came to class they would bring their fit ball and their mat and their little set of hand weights. And so here we are, I found some photos today. This was our first 2 women in a community centre in Baulkham Hills doing their first pregnancy class on their fit balls, and it grew quite quickly from there. So here's some of the ladies in the early days coming along to the different community centres. We ran them in different community centres with their fit balls, and we'd do the pregnancy program. And there's another one, early day people, and it started to grow. So we started to get more and more pregnant women with their balls, and more pregnant women again. So here they all come. I'll put these onto a slideshow because it's really cool that I found them. So all these pregnant women were coming and they were loving it, and they were really seeing the positive benefits and feeling great through the pregnancy. And then they started to have their babies, and obviously they then needed a program to come to with their babies, and I had had my baby, so it was a time when I created the Mum and Bub program where women could come with their babies, because at the time I was still also teaching at the gym, and so I'd have to go and pop my baby in the gym creche where they wouldn't change his nappy. So I could be teaching a class for an hour, sometimes a double, and I'd come back and they wouldn't change the nappy in the creche. So he'd come back, he'd have a horrific nappy rash, or he'd be sick from constantly being in the creche. And I was like, right, these women need a program where they can actually take their baby with them, and hence the Mum and Bub program was born as well. So the mums would come along and they'd bring their baby, and we'd do the exercise with holding the baby, or the baby in the pram, or if baby was asleep in the pram or on the grass. And those babies grew into toddlers, and it became this really amazing little thing where mums and their toddlers could come along and just exercise and work on themselves, and everyone had fun and a great time. So it really did grow quite quickly. Probably from the time I ran that first class to the time we got our first studio was only a period of about 4 to 5 months. So that's the story for today. That's the very start of it, the snippet. And tomorrow we'll talk about, the idea for a studio, getting that next studio, and showing you some more photos along the way. So first part of the Active Mum story. Take care and have a great day.